ask you, have you ever seen a more
Beautiful flower.
beautiful flower?
The anti-suffrage rose. Delicate, too, I believe. It's an American beauty. My grandmother used to grow them alongside salmon pink dianthus.
She could grow just about anything, anywhere. She was an expert at drawing from the land all we needed and more. So much more.
She disguised their leggy bottoms by planting rows of lavender in front. My sister and I smelled the roses and lavender the summer long. I caught sight of an American beauty pinned to the lapel of Charlotte Rowe's overcoat, and she spoke for anti-suffragists in Oklahoma City on October 18th. I saw it, and I was reminded.
My grandmother would say, roses have blooms that are formed by 50 or more petals. I always like that. There is power in that. We're stronger together and more beautiful as the single bud opens into a larger blossom.
My grandmother. I was reminded of the story she told as the pumpkin sun slipped below a blackberry-stained horizon, and an incense of lavender greeted us with every creak of the old porch swing. My grandmother, who'd study at Mount Holyoke Seminary, was sent to the territories by the American Board of Commissioners for Foreign Missions. She was commissioned to bring comfort, education, and Christianity to the members of the Creek Nation.
My grandmother. She was born in the old Creek Nation. Her mother had been a slave to Creek Indians who'd come out before the removal. She lived on a 40-acre farm given to them by the government, and it was just about 3 miles from her old home on Master Perryman's plantation where she and her family lived. I expect that's where my love for tending to my flowers came from. It's in my blood.
She made $100 a year when male teachers made $166. She worked alongside women of the Creek Nation and their slaves.
Worked hard all my life. My people were farmers mostly, but very prosperous. The land they owned was rich. They always had big crops. I went to a subscription school and learned to read, write, and figure at an early age.
My grandmother. She taught basic elementary subjects, moral and religious lessons, and
I would finish my household tasks and then all my farm chores too.
among snakes, insects, disease, and unpredictable weather. She even translated the New Testament into the Muskogee language.
So I've always believed a woman has the power to make her own opportunity. I made mine when I opened a flower shop in Beulah, Oklahoma. Truth be told, I got the idea from my grandmother.
She only worked among the Creek for a few years, but I believe she began dreaming that revolutionary dream we all share. Across the dinner table, from indomitable Creek women exercised considerable power in their matrilineal clan. That's our legacy, ladies. Our mothers and grandmothers bore us to this moment.
We are the garden
they cultivated. We stand as one, arms outstretched, hands wide open.
But some of those suffragists don't want us here. They prefer we remain silent. Let them do our fighting for us. But I've never been good at being quiet or letting someone speak for me. No, I'm here today.
Not for what we're hoping to receive from our fathers, passed down from their fathers, empowered to take hold of what has already been earned
by our mothers
who began this fight,
whose fingers bled in wash tubs and whose feet ached in the cook kitchen, by our grandmothers
who imagined it,
whose backs were broken in the cotton field.
And by our sisters and ourselves,
as members of the Oklahoma Federation of Colored Women's Clubs, protesting lynching and endorsing women's suffrage because,
and by our sisters and ourselves, working in the Red Cross during the war and here at home selling Liberty bonds, we've more than earned our right to suffrage.
We've more than earned our right to suffrage.
Yes.
There are those, like the women you see today, wearing red roses, members of the Oklahoma Anti-Suffrage League, who have made the issue about race, wanting to keep the coloreds in,
who say we need to remember
our place.
My place is beside you, at the ballot box, come the next statewide election. Our grandmothers glimpsed a possibility of freedom because they lived and worked beside women who cultivated it. Women of the territories who had always possessed rights beyond the scope of their own, of what they imagined their rights to be. They were inspired.
Our grandmothers were emancipated. Our mothers labored to offer us this new dream of freedom. They were cultivators.
We are empowered.
It's time we drew from the land they prepared all we need and more. Our collective strength can push us through.
There is no rose more beautiful than the one laid down in memoriam,
than those grown for me in my grandmother's garden.
We remember.
I remember what she taught me, that it's not a competition. We all need to be uplifted.
And today, we will plant victory gardens of our own.
We, too, will lift our collective voice.
Because an amendment to the Oklahoma Constitution granting women's suffrage will carry.
We will be heard.
And I suspect by a considerable margin.
We won't be silent anymore.